Hello, thank you for joining us for our third segment and my colleague's favorite segment, football. That's right. We're going to be talking about the NFL draft. It's coming up really quickly.
A week from today, Thursday.
Yeah, I was looking at that and I was like, holy cow, I can't believe. Like, I feel like I've been so excited about baseball, I forgot about the draft, and I always do this every year. Every year I'm like, oh yes, baseball's back, yes, cool. And I'm setting up my fantasy baseball lineup, and all of a sudden I see a commercial. The draft will be on Friday, and I'm like, oh shoot, I have 3 days to see who's going to be drafted. Who are the Raiders going to draft? Oh man, who should they? Yeah, so I'm way behind, but yeah, the NFL draft is rapidly approaching. I'm really surprised. We talked about it a little bit earlier. We talked about who the Browns should get, whether it be a quarterback or Myles Garrett. I think both of us were
both saying
Myles Garrett.
Yeah.
So, which actually kind of brought up a question for me. The quarterbacks. Now, there's the top 3 quarterbacks. I would actually add the 4th, Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
I'm actually starting to like more and more.
I am too.
Who do you think is the quarterback that is taken first, and who grabs that quarterback?
Okay, I actually, I think that the first quarterback that should be taken is DeShaun Watson. I really like him. I know that his arm strength is really in question as far as the deep ball, because he can really throw one in there from about 5 to 15 yards. He's very accurate in that sense, but once you go 20 plus, he's a little bit more hairy. It's more so as he's throwing up a 50-50 ball, but he's got to make sure he gets in the direction of his receiver, and sometimes his 50-50 ball is 50-50 if it gets there, kind of a thing, just because of his accuracy when he goes that far. But if he goes to a team that's got some really good receivers, I don't think that'd be an issue. But he to me just exemplifies what it takes to win. I mean, back-to-back years he faced Alabama and gave them the business the first time around, lost to them, and then came back the second time and beat them. So it shows he's got a really big heart. He's a super competitor, and I think he's just gonna basically outwork everybody to be as good as he can. He reminds me a little bit, though. I'm not gonna even front about this. He kind of reminds me a little bit of RG3, but I don't think he's gonna be so into himself as RG3 was, because after a while RG3 was kind of filling himself a little too much. And I think Watson's got a good head on his shoulders, and I think he won't fall into that trap like RG3 is, who's still trying to find himself now, even after his rookie season. So my honest opinion is Watson should go first, and I think the 2 quarterbacks who are ironically in the top 3 discussion that you might want to watch out for, buyer beware, is Mitch Trubisky.
Mitchell Trubisky.
Yes. And
Mitchell.
then
Don't say Mitch.
Whatever.
Like it.
Mitch. I don't care. And then DeShone Kizer. I think those 2 you might want to be a little weary about. Kizer, he had a good season at Notre Dame, but even his coach and some of his team has even said that he needs another year to mature. So I mean, honestly, if you're going to draft him, you need to take him to a team that's going to take him under, and he's got to sit for quite a few years before he really kind of takes the reins. So maybe New York Giants, just because Eli, you can tell, has got maybe 3 or 4 more years, and then go from there. Maybe even the Steelers. I saw a couple projections, which actually wouldn't be too bad if he goes to the Steelers. Actually, really good for them, because they've always wanted that mobile quarterback, and that's what he fits. But I would also, I would be wary of him, and I'd be wary of Trubisky, just because he's had 13 games in college. And he didn't even start most of his college career until his senior year, and he only did 13 games. It honestly reminds me of Mark Sanchez when he was at USC. Only played, I think, like 13 or so games. Was good, drafted by the Jets, and just really hasn't done that much afterwards. That's what it kind of reminds me of. I'm really hoping that doesn't turn out for him, though, because I think he will be productive. This is what it's reminding me of, as he's getting this big push at the end, as, the Browns might take him number 1, and then I don't think that he's shown enough to prove that he can start day 1, which is, if the Browns take him number 1, that's what they'll be expecting. So that's but overall, I think Watson should go first as the first quarterback.
I agree with you. I feel like DeShaun Watson should be the first quarterback taken. I like DeShaun Watson. We already had a discussion about the whole Browns. Who should they pick? I basically said DeShaun Watson's had more games, and I was actually thinking this on the car ride here. I was really thinking He reminds me, now I know I'm going to get crushed for this, but he reminds me a lot of Cam Newton. And I'm not talking about his running ability, because no one's ever going to come close to Cam Newton unless you're a running back.
Right.
Cam Newton, when he came to the league, he had so much pressure on him. But the one thing that I always saw with him is he wasn't afraid. Now this past year, I feel like it was the first time he was actually afraid. And I think that's what hurt him. But if you saw the first few years of him being in the league, he wasn't afraid of making the big pass, making the big run, making the right decision. I think the year before this year, where he won MVP, was proof of it.
Right.
Okay? I think DeShaun Watson has that courage. He was not afraid to go against an Alabama team in the national championship for the second year in a row and throw the football down Alabama's throat.
Yep.
I mean,
over the top defense in the nation.
He impressed me so much. And all he did was win at Clemson. He came from a winning pedigree at Clemson.
Right.
Mitchell Trubisky, his team was 8-5 last year. DeShone Kizer, his team was 4-8. Now I know that those teams were different teams.
Right.
You can't just go based off the quarterback.
Right.
So let's go off their numbers. Mitchell Trubisky has a career of 4,762 passing yards, 41 touchdowns, 10 picks, 67 and a half completion percentage.
Right.
That's good. That's good. In the ACC.
Right.
Right?
A little bit weaker of a conference, but yeah.
Yeah. DeShaun Watson had basically the same completion percentage. He had 67.4. He had 10,168 passing yards. Yes, he had 2 more seasons on him.
Right.
And he had 90 touchdowns, 32 picks. Oh, and he went to 2 national championships.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah. DeShone Kizer. DeShone Kizer is 5,805. He's got more passing yards than Trubisky. And now his completion percentage is a little down, but he's got 47 touchdowns, 19 picks. I am not as worried as if you take DeShone Kizer, I'm not as worried. You know that he's going to be sitting, and he knows it. And he's okay with it. After they asked him about when Brian Kelly said, he said, yeah, I'm going to need to learn, and he's right. I need to learn the game, but the best decision for me is to go into the draft.
Right.
That's okay. I'm okay with that because he was honest and said, yeah, I need to work more. I need to learn more. Hey, I like that better than a Mitchell Trubisky who really hasn't said anything and just is sitting back going, hey, my draft stock is going up and I haven't done anything.
Right.
But you're right. I feel like DeShaun Watson should be the first one. He's not going to be. The first one is going to be Mitchell Trubisky. I would be honestly, I'm going to be really surprised if the Browns do take him because what I've seen all over ESPN, all over Fox Sports, all over CBS Sports, all over NBC Sports, all of these is no quarterback is a definitive, yes, take him now.
This is definitely the weakest draft amongst quarterbacks it's been in a while.
Yeah.
Probably since, Jamarcus Russell's, draft year. But anyways, I completely agree with you. I just think that Watson, in my opinion, just like what you and I agree with, he's got to be the first one to go. Probably won't be, though, unfortunately. But he should be, in my opinion. I just think that the other two just have too many question marks. I think the body of work for Watson's a bit better. But it also just depends on the team that drafts him, to be honest with you, because you definitely would hate for them to go to an organization that's terrible. You never know. I mean, the Redskins are probably going to be up there. I mean, they've got, the Redskins have got as soon as I can find it, the 17th pick. So, I mean, a quarterback can easily go there. Then you got the Jets that don't really have an answer for quarterback that could go as soon as that. San Francisco is a big question mark if they're going to take a quarterback, second or a defensive player, and they've got Kyle Shanahan who might be able to take Watson and he's mobile and if he can just find a way to kind of work the offense more West Coast, which is more shorter passes and run, and you've got Carlos Hyde. That wouldn't be too bad, but they've also got a lot of question marks on the defensive side that they might want to focus on first. But,
well, they have 1,000 safeties on their roster, so they don't need another freaking safety.
And not one nose tackle.
Yeah. I feel like with the Niners, the second pick, I feel like they are going to take Mitchell Trubisky. I don't see the Browns doing it, and so I feel like Trubisky is going to be the first quarterback taken, and I think he's going to the Niners. Why? Well, they got Kyle Shanahan. What is everyone talking about Kyle Shanahan? Oh, well, he's great with quarterbacks. He worked with Kirk Cousins. Look at Kirk Cousins now. He should be getting a big deal. He still hasn't, just saying.
And I don't know if that's
Ryan.
Redskins or Cousins.
Yeah, exactly. But Matt Ryan,
yeah,
MVP year. I mean,
very good quarterback.
So Kyle Shanahan knows how to work with these quarterbacks. I mean, you could go after Kirk Cousins because obviously the Redskins are beating around the bush. I feel like if you're a new coach, you're a rebuilding team, it's okay going after a young quarterback. If they got Trubisky, I'd actually be happy because I'm a Raider fan and I'd like to see the Niners crash and burn. But I've heard a lot of experts say, oh, he's got an arm talent like Aaron Rodgers, and if he could be more consistent. Are you kidding me? Like,
I don't know about Aaron Rodgers.
I've heard that several times.
I don't know. I mean, maybe, okay, arm talent I can see as far as, you know, he can maybe put the ball on the outside of the numbers. Again, not going more than 20 yards down the field. Because Aaron Rodgers is a very good deep ball passer. Like, whenever he hits Jordy Nelson or Randall Cobb, or heck, even this past season with his tight end, the Raiders just signed
Jared Cook.
Jared Cook, thank you. Even when they hit Jared Cook down the field, he had some accuracy and some velocity behind it. Not saying that DeShaun Watson doesn't have velocity. I just don't know if he's that accurate going 20, 25, 30 yards down the field, which most offensive now are more down the field. You know, like, for example, if, let's say, the Cardinals were to draft, Arizona Cardinals were to draft Watson, they're probably going to want him because he's very explosive. However, the offense wouldn't be very good for him because they're a home run ball kind of a team, and that wouldn't fit the offense. I see Watson being very successful in a very Cam Newton-like offense where it's kind of more of a spread, run option, read option kind of a thing. That would be more ideal for him because he's a very mobile quarterback. But I don't, like, maybe even a West Coast style offense. I don't see a wide open spread, go down the field, I'll throw it up there for you. Yeah. You know, but I mean, arm talent wise, yeah, sure, maybe he's got the fastball and he can go past the numbers, he can get you in the middle of the field. I just don't think he's a down the field passer like Aaron Rodgers. That's a little outside.
A team that I would actually like Watson to see on would be the Chicago Bears, honestly, because now they've gotten rid of a lot of their deep ball guy like Alshon Jeffrey. I don't know. I think they're going to go more short passes. They have a good running game now. I think he could grow with the Bears, and I think, honestly, that would be a good pick. I don't think the Bears are going to get him. I'm just saying I'd like to see that.
That wouldn't be too bad.
I think the Browns are in a great position because I think what they can do is they're going to go Myles Garrett. And then your second pick, I would say the 49ers are going to get Mitchell Trubisky. So you know Trubisky's gone.
Right.
But if you like Watson, if you've even flirted with the option, you have the 12th pick. Who out of the top 11, well, I should say second to 11, is going to draft Watson?
Right.
I don't see it. So if you're the Cleveland Browns, you can play it smart. You can get Myles Garrett. You can drop down to the 12th pick and get DeShaun Watson. Because honestly, you could even make a case that because they have a third pick in the first round, right?
They've got one pick, they got the 12th pick, and then I don't see any more picks in the first round.
Oh, okay.
But they've got
the first pick in the second round. Okay, so you could even wait in the second round to get DeShaun Watson because a lot of people are saying that he's going to go late in the first round or even starting in the second round.
Right.
So if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're in a really good position because you have a ton of draft picks. You could get a DeShaun Watson. He's going to fit your offense because you got rid of Terrell Pryor, so you're obviously not going for the downfield passes.
Right.
Corey Coleman is a guy who's a better possession receiver rather than a speed guy.
Right.
He could really work well. It's a young receiver and a young quarterback building together. That could be really good for the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
And, oh, by the way, you have a Myles Garrett, who a lot of people are comparing him to, who he could have a career as of Von Miller.
That's very
so you get a Von Miller.
Bigger than Von Miller, actually. So as fast, as strong, but bigger. That's even scarier.
Yeah. You get a Von Miller. You get a guy who will fit your offense correctly, who is not afraid of anything. Honestly, I feel like the way that he went into the Alabama National Championship game, he's going to come in the NFL. Yes, of course, the NFL is going to be a lot more difficult. I understand that. I'm not saying that. But he's going to go in. He's going to be confident. He's going to say, okay, I know my game. I know what I need to do.
Right.
And I like Coach Jackson. I liked him when he was with the Raiders.
Yeah.
I like him when he was with the Bengals. He actually made Andy Dalton look decent.
Right.
And then I like him with the Browns. I honestly feel bad for him because he was a head coach of the Raiders. Now Davis was senile. And then you have the Cleveland Browns, who's just a dysfunctional organization.
Right.
I really feel bad for him, but this might be a good spot. This draft might change something for the Cleveland Browns. It might. Don't quote me on it because I'm not going to say DeShaun Watson's the greatest because I don't think he is.
Right.
But he could fit, and it might be like a Kirk Cousins situation where he fits right now until you maybe get something better.
Right. I'm not going to completely disagree with that. This is what I'm going to say, though. And I think DeShaun Watson's going in the first round. I don't think he's sliding to the second round. I can see Trubisky and I can see Kizer going second round before Watson. I think, honestly, Watson to me is the better choice overall. And again, that kid that we were just talking about him, I think he'll actually go before Trubisky or Kizer. Just depends on what team has whatever need because he's got a really strong arm.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think Watson, if he doesn't go to Cleveland 12, he'll probably go to Washington at 17. Just because they're going to want some insurance with Cousins. And I can see where Redskins are at a crossroads right now with Cousins. Do you keep him and pay him all this money with the same sort of mediocre production that he's had? I mean, I wouldn't say mediocre because he's had, I think, 3 consecutive seasons of 4,000 plus passing yards. However, I don't think they've made it to the playoff. I think they've made 1 playoff appearance in those 3 years. And they just finished under 500, and at the last game, all they had to do was beat the Giants and they were in, who was already in, so they didn't really care. They lost, and he threw a costly interception. So I can also see where the Redskins are apprehensive. Kirk Cousins, is he a franchise? I don't think he's a franchise. I think he's a very good quarterback, but is he like a Matt Ryan that's franchise quarterback? No. He's not on the same level.
I'm with you. Yeah.
Here's what I would do, though, if I was the Redskins. If you do get Cousins to sign an offer sheet or you hold on to his rights, I would say make an offer to San Francisco for, let's say, Cousins for the second pick. Because, in my opinion, Cousins will be very successful under Shanahan, and the 49ers need a quarterback. Maybe they don't want to wait, 4 or 5 years to develop a quarterback like Trubisky. Maybe they want to do it now because, they're going to have a decent offense. I wouldn't say a juggernaut, but they'll have a decent offense. Yeah. And I think Cousins will definitely upgrade that. So I think if you package like a third rounder and Cousins, Redskins to San Francisco to get the second pick, and I think that's where you take Watson if you want to, that wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah. Or maybe take a number 1 pick and just wait till Watson falls to you at 17. If you take a wide receiver, let's say, to have more offense. Because I don't think their defense is really the issue. I think it's their offense. They just can't keep sputtering. I think Cousins is making the Redskins sputter, in my opinion, because they've got a really big, beefy offensive line. But those are wild things. Who knows what will happen? That's just what I think should happen. But I don't think Watson makes it out of the first round, and I think 17 is where he'll go no matter what. Because here's 3 teams I think will take him before Washington. Obviously San Francisco. I also think that the Jets probably will take him first, or I actually think the Los Angeles Chargers. Because you got Phillip Rivers, who's kind of like at the ending of his career, and you might treat him as a bridge quarterback at this point, 3 to 4 years maybe left. Give him enough time to work with the kid, and then you get him in there. And you've got some receivers that you're developing. I know that Keenan Allen has had 2 consecutive ACL tears, so we'll see how that goes. But even still, with the young core of receivers that they had, they did pretty well. And you've got Melvin Gordon, who's a phenomenal running back. Yeah. So, those are 3 teams I think that might get him before the Redskins if they don't make some sort of push. And I just don't see Watson staying past the first round.
You brought up Patrick Mahomes. Mm-hmm. He actually really reminds me of a Carson Palmer. Mm-hmm. And I think he would be a good pickup for the Arizona Cardinals because he's a big arm guy, like Carson Palmer. And that's what their offense is built. Imagine Carson Palmer. He's already slowly but surely declining. We've seen it with the Raiders and it's constantly, and then it had a spike a couple of years, and then it went right back down.
Yeah.
So I feel like Carson Palmer is approaching the end, and Patrick Mahomes would be a good fit. He would make sense because I hate their other backup quarterback. Arizona has no backup quarterback in my opinion.
It's Drew Stanton, isn't it?
Yeah.
From out of Michigan State. Yeah, I don't know why he's on the team. I'm sure you can probably find a better free agent quarterback better than him, because even when he sometimes fills in for Carson Palmer, that offense is dead in the water. I mean, outside of David Johnson, which, by the way, is my hero because he did so well for me in fantasy football. But, I mean, outside of that, you definitely need some sort of quarterback. And I agree with you on that one that Mahomes probably makes more sense to go to Arizona Cardinals, considering Bruce Arians' offense is, on the run, but we're going to throw it down the field.
Yeah.
And because they've got, I forgot who their undersized wide receiver is. John Brown, thank you. But he's very fast to get down the field, and I think that's what they really like. Because we both know Fitzgerald and Carson Palmer are probably going to be done after one more season, maybe. 2 seasons max for each of them, and they're probably both done. And then you've got to bring in some new offense. And I think nothing better would be for Mahomes to come in, who's gone under with Carson Palmer, and then you've got Bruce Arians that actually coached Peyton Manning for a little while when he was at Indianapolis, and he's basically like a quarterback whisperer. So I mean, that'd be a good fit too.
Yeah. But the reason I brought that up is because we were talking about Mitchell Trubisky. Excuse me. Mitchell Trubisky. A lot of people I've been hearing have been saying, his arm strength is like Aaron Rodgers, and that shocked me. Honestly, he reminds me of a Jay Cutler, and I'm not saying Jay Cutler of the body language, Jay Cutler, the one who makes mistakes. Jay Cutler had a really talented arm.
Yeah.
He was pretty accurate. He could throw it downfield every now and then. He had that type of arm.
Right.
But he didn't always. He made the bear. And I know a lot of people want to trash Jay Cutler, but really Jay Cutler was a good quarterback. When he was in Denver,
he was pretty good.
Seriously, anyone would have taken Jay Cutler.
Yeah.
Anyone would have taken Jay Cutler when he left Denver. Anyone would have. Because he had that talent. He was young at the time. A lot of people thought, yep, he can grow. We can make him become a little bit smarter. Right. He just never got out of that form because no one in Chicago said, Jay, shut up and watch the film.
Yeah.
And he's just kind of a guy who just kind of goes with emotions. And that's a Jay Cutler issue.
Yeah.
But Jay Cutler, talent-wise, was very good. I really liked him. And Mitchell Trubisky, he kind of reminds me of that. He's got a good arm. He's got a lot to learn. And so if you don't want him to follow the career path that Jay Cutler had, which actually wasn't bad because, look, he's still in the league. Well, he hasn't been signed yet. But,
no.
But he could be a little bit better than Jay Cutler, and he could trend toward what Jay Cutler was trending to earlier in his career, which was a quarterback who could make it to the Super Bowl and actually win it.
Right.
Maybe one, maybe not two. But Cutler had that potential. He had guys around him, and I think Mitchell Trubisky, no matter where, if he goes to the 49ers, it's going to be a little bit harder because right now they don't have any receiver.
Right.
But if he went to on the top of my head, like a New York Jets team, you have Eric Decker. So if Mitchell Trubisky went there, I'm Trubisky. I'd rather go there because they're a little bit better than the Browns, but not by much. But I mean, it would. To me, it makes sense.
Yeah, it would.
Well, thank you for joining us. We are Drew Code Sports Talk, and please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks.